we got the golden boy up on the lift. We're going to do a walk around video. I just took like 40 close-up pictures of the bike all around, documenting it. It's in beautiful condition. There's a couple of little worn spots. And it's going up, and we're going to spend some time trying to find a battery and trying to find an ignition switch and see. There's no oil in this tank that we can see. We're going to check that. We're going to check the oil in the engine, oil in the primary, see if we can find some electrons and make them flow, and check, see if we get some spark when we kick it over. Right now, bring those Allens over. You going to pull this cover off?
Sure.
Let's find out what's inside here for ignition. Beautiful cap. I'd like to know what's in there. All right. I'll walk around while Kevin does that. Get some close-ups. Oh, there's the ignition resistor right there. It may still have points because it's got the ignition resistor.
Oh, I'm sure it's got points.
Think so?
I'm not seeing any indication anywhere else that there's I find no box, no modern regulator rectifier. It's just the old one. And I realize you can use that, but
yeah, I mean, this may be one bike we'll leave as is if it runs.
yeah,
It's scary. It's so nice.
yeah. Oh, exactly.
I have to get out I've got these velvet-lined wrenches. Don't I wish?
Yeah, we got points.
You got points, huh?
Yeah,
Okay, points
no
is points.
surprise.
Okay, we're going to leave those. Now we'll just try to find out where the ignition system is. But that's close. Doesn't touch though. About a billionth of an inch apart. Now this one says .5 on it. The front one says .3. Interesting.
And if there is a battery,
It might
it's
be.
a D cell. Yeah.
Well,
But
it might be
no,
in the
that's
tail
all,
sack.
that's all hollow.
Huh?
That's hollow.
Yeah, I know. There might be a battery in it. I'm thinking about undoing these snaps and finding out what's inside there.
Well, I mean, my hand is right here.
What, underneath?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was a compartment.
No.
Oh, it's not a compartment?
No.
Really?
This is fiberglass. Somebody's manufactured
I'll be
this.
darned. I thought that was a what an opportunity for a storage department.
Yeah.
Compartment.
Yeah.
But there's not.
Nope.
Oh, rats. That was one of my big hopes.
Dude.
All right.
I don't think there's a battery on this thing.
Well, that's weird because it's got the resistor.
I don't disagree.
And where did we see that rectifier? I saw it nestled somewhere.
Right here.
Oh, yeah. There it is, facing the other way, so I can't tell what the connections are. I'll be darned. All right, so we're going to continue the quest for the battery and the quest for the ignition switch. And it may just be a no battery bike with a kill switch. That's kind of cool. You know that?
Yeah.
Actually, I don't see a blue capacitor either, though. Might be up under the tank. Twin Makunis, chromed up. Interesting. Neat stuff. All right.
I think this is meant to be parked in someone's front room.
Well, it's been a show bike for about 10 years. What can you
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
It is impressive, and the workmanship on all the individual parts is beyond comprehension. I mean, it's really well done. Look at this thing. This is custom made.
Oh yeah.
Look at that.
It's all custom.
Yeah,
There's no
everything.
question.
Isn't it just incredible? 2-in-1 exhaust.
Yeah.
Fiberglass tank.
Well, it doesn't sound like
Yeah,
it.
I think so.
Think so?
I think so. Yeah.
It's been lined. I looked inside. There's
Was-
a little gas in it. It's been beautifully lined.
Oh, okay. So no gas in it, and it has been lined.
Yeah, a little bit of gas, but yeah.
All right. Oh, all right. Then what we can do for grins right now, let's pull the plugs and kick it over and see if they go sparkle. Okay? That'll tell us whether or not we got a no battery bike with a kill switch. All right. Well, we took the plugs out and hooked them to the head, and then Kevin kicked it over by hand over here, and we got spark. So spark is spark. Apparently, this is a battery-less, as in no battery, system with a kill switch up here on the handlebar. Right about somewhere up here. I saw it. Here it is. Okay, kill switch up here. Usually there's a blue capacitor or some type of capacitor. I wonder how he operates this horn. Usually without a battery, a horn will kill the bike, but we'll see if we get it running. Right now, what I'm going to do is dump the sump. Since this is a pre-75 engine, I don't know if it's a 74 or 73, but it's not a 75. It has no pimple here. And I'm going to dump the sump because if it's been sitting a long time, the oil has gone down into the sump. And it ought to be interesting because in order to dump the sump, I may have to take off that whole exhaust system. But I'm not going to try to start it with 3 full quarts of oil in the sump. Let's see if I can get at the yeah, good. I can get at the sump plug here. So I'll dump the sump and get all the oil out of it. Then I'm going to pull these carb bowls off and take the pilot jets out and clean those, examine what I see in here. And at that point in time, it might be startable. There is actually a video online of the bike being started. So I'm going to do that. That's what I'm going to do right now. All right, just for grins, I've loosened the sump plug. Let's see how much oil's in the bottom of the motor. Well, I don't know how much it is, but I know that it's more than 6 ounces. If you let a pre-75 bike sit for more than a couple of weeks, the oil will seep down through the oil pump and into the sump. And when you start it, it'll make it hard to start, and it'll maybe blow smoke. And if you try to rev it too much, you could actually cause a hydraulic lock in the crankcase and damage the engine. So if your bike has been sitting for more than a couple of weeks and you go to start it, don't rev it right away. Idle it long enough to suck the oil out of the pump, out of the sump, and back up into the tank. And if you go down to your motorcycle and look in the oil tank and find it low, don't top it off until after you've run the engine, because a lot of the oil might be down in the sump. This all holds true for bikes that are pre-1975 or earlier bikes that have not had the anti-drain down modification done to the timing cover. I almost always send timing covers for pre-75 bikes down to AMR in Tucson. AMR, I think it's Alternative Motorcycle Repair, and he modifies the timing covers for me to put in a valve that stops the oil from soaking down into the bottom of the engine, like this one has done. Let's just take a slosh test. Yeah, that there is about 3 quarts of oil. You can just, and it's still dripping. So we'll just let that sit there. I think I will take this and take it apart. Check the filter. Okay, I'm going to stop the video for a while. All right, so here's the sump filter taken out and disassembled and pulled apart. And you can see there's some stuff in it. And there always is. You know, I think most of this is, I don't know what it is. Let's just assume it's gasket material and I don't know what all. So I did this with Fred yesterday, but I did it on time lapse and it was horrible. I mean, the whole deal from draining oil to this and everything lasted about 10 seconds. The time lapse just didn't work. I'm not sure what I'm going to do about the time lapse technique. So anyway, let's spray a little cleaner in this and see what it looks like. Okay, I'll clean this up, put it back together. All right, all cleaned up and put back together. Here's something to worry about. I recently found this cover washer and this clip in the bottom of a bike sump by going after it. And it was folded over and beat to heck. And you have to be really, really careful when you put the spring clip in. You just can't put it in there and let it pop into place. You got to make sure it's really, 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 really embedded in the channel, because I saw one come out. So anyway, this is all cleaned and put back together. I'm going to put it back in the bike now. And as long as I was underneath the bike, I pulled out the magnetic plug, and basically there's nothing on it. No bits and pieces. Nothing to worry about. So I'll clean this up and put it back in. All right, here's the oil that came out of the sump. Let's just do a very unscientific test. And it's not brand new, but it's certainly not filthy. I'm going to dump it out now. And I'll be real careful to dump it slowly so that I can look in the bottom of the pan and see if there's anything in there. I doubt seriously if there is. Okay, so I'm going to take it over to the oil dumper and dump it. All right, the oil is offloaded. There was nothing in the bottom of the pan. Put it up there to drain well, for a while. Costco, not Costco, yeah. First of all, Costco, I buy this mango nectar drink. It's really good. I like it a lot. Sometimes I cut it a little bit with cold water. Sometimes I put it in a glass and throw in a couple scoops of vanilla ice cream, and that's really good. And I really, really like it, so I buy it quite often. So I always have these really nice mango nectar um, jugs to fill with oil. The other one's, I don't know where I got that one. Anyway, oil's ready to be taken to O'Reilly's. They love seeing me come because they know that in the trunk of my car I've got 8 or 10 of these things. So it goes to recycle, but I usually have a lot. There's a lot of oil around here. So anyway, let that guy drain for a while, then I'll wipe it out. I checked the bottom, there's nothing in it. And anyway, that's just the way it is. I built that little stand probably 20 years ago, and it has served me well. All right, I've discovered a couple of other things since I drained the oil. Got a little drip down here from when I did the magnetic plug. Okay, clean that up. Okay. Keep this here for a minute. This is the oil tank. It's a monster. It goes all the way across the bike, solid. I would say it probably holds 6-8 quarts of oil if you wanted to fill it up. So I mean, it's a monster. And it fits in there nicely. So okay. So anyway, the big thing about the oil tank. Let me show you. When they built it, they did not put a standpipe inside for the return oil, so you could look in there and see the oil being returned from the pump. There's no standpipe in there, so you just have to believe that the pump is pumping and oil's coming back to the tank. Basically what we'll do, even when we get it running, is we'll loosen this fitting here or the one on the other side, and if oil comes out of it, then we know that we have oil pumping pressure into the engine, and we will have to work on the assumption that it is being returned. Okay, so now with the sump empty and no dipstick, I have this. I use this for checking oil level in primaries to make sure that there's oil in the primary. And you've got this little eyelet here, and it goes down and all the way down to the bottom of the tank. Right there. And then you pull it out, and if the eyelet has oil in it, then there is oil in there. You don't know how much for sure, and you really can't tell how much is here, but we can take it over and lay it on a clean piece of paper. Let's see. Anyway, you can tell. Stand by. Okay, by laying it on a clean piece of paper, you can see that the oil level was right about there. So it's just a little bit left in the bottom of the tank. Not much at all. So I'm not going to worry about draining the tank. But I will label it no oil so that we put oil in it when we get to start it. All right, as long as I have the tool out, which I made just for checking oil in top primaries to make sure that there actually is oil in a primary. Let's just dip this down into here. This thing only takes 5 ounces of oil. So you go down to the bottom and you twist it around, and you come back out and you have an eyelet full of oil. So yeah, there's oil in this primary. So I'm not going to worry about that either. Okay. Good, so we've proven that there is oil in the primary. Okay, while exploring the bike, looking for the ignition switch and the battery, of which there is neither, I discovered up here, right up there, there's the blue capacitor. That acts as a battery for the ignition system. And here's the resistor pack for the to protect the points from arcing by lowering the ignition voltage to 6 volts going to the coils. This is, I'm not sure what that is. Might be a filler. And there is the full bridge wave rectifier. It's a full bridge rectifier. So it takes the AC from the alternator, turns it into DC, and then the Zener diode is right down here. So it has a Zener diode to regulate the DC to about 14 volts maximum. And then that goes up and keeps the blue capacitor charged, and the blue capacitor supplies power to the bike. So it's a very simple, straightforward ignition system. And we do have spark. So let's see. So I'm gonna mark this no oil. I'm gonna take these float bowls off and check the pilot jets. We're making progress. Well, I've got the float bowls off of the Mikunis, and I have pulled the pilot jets out. And here are the float bowls, and they had a little bit of gasoline in them. It smelled okay. And the floats are nice and free. There's no problem with those. Just beautifully. There's no crud or anything in there, so it's nice and clean. So, can't beat that with a stick. I did pull the pilot jets out, and they are pretty well occluded. I'll hold them up to the light and see if you can see through them, and then we'll clean them and do them again. Okay, so I'm going to just hold this up to the light. Let's see if we can see through it. Okay, see that little hole? There you go. Let's see how that goes. That's not that bad. Let's try the other one. Surprised, I usually don't get this good. Okay, there. So I'm going to put a wire cleaner through there and see how they look after we clean them. Then I'll show you where they go. Okay, this is the carburetor cleaner tool that I use. I've modified mine by smushing the end so it doesn't roll. I buy them from various and sundry different vendors. These came from Lowbrow Customs. CBS has them also, Classic British Spares, and other people also. They're expensive. They're about 15 bucks a shot, and I just bought 10 of them because I usually supply one with each bike I work on. So put this back up here with the rest of the ones I have in stock. So you this tip is actually, let's see if I can put it here on my little special, and see if I can zoom in and get a good focus. And you can actually see the tip is a drill bit. It's not just a wire. It's a drill bit. And it's good for cleaning the accumulated stuff out of these carburetor jets. That's on purpose. Now I'm going to hold this up and let's see if you can see the hole any better now that I've cleaned it. See, I know I've zoomed in more, but that's a monster difference. That's one. And here be the other, same. So you can see I cleaned out a lot of, I've lost the word, stuff out of there. Okay? And that's caused by our new gasoline. The E10 gasoline causes these to corrode. That's the word, corrode. And not much you can do about it. You can try draining the carburetors and all that when you park it, but it doesn't work because there's gasoline up inside here. And it corrodes. And you got to clean them. And these control starting. These control about the first 1/8 of the throttle, 1/8 to 1/4 throttle. These are what control starting the bike. So, all right, so I'm gonna put it back together now. Oh, let me show you, I'll show you where they go. All right, pilot jets in a Mikuni go up in here in this tube. I'm just showing you this, and you don't use pliers to do it, but they go in here, okay? And you have to have a really, really good screwdriver with a really, really sharp point, and it has to really, really, really just barely fit in that tube, because if you go in there with a regular old nasty screwdriver, all you'll do is bung up the end of the jet, and you will play hob getting them out of there once you've messed them up. So you use a really, really, really good screwdriver. I use this one exclusively. And this is so old, I think it was my father's. And I've filed it down so it fits in that hole exactly and precisely. Boy, this is an old, old, old screwdriver. I love it. So anyway, I'm going to put these back in there now. And then we'll talk about what to do next on this bike before we try our first start. All right, so we've already checked on the floats themselves. I'll show you one more thing to check before we put it together. And that is the assembly with the gas needle. The floats operate this guy right here. And they operate this needle right here to allow gas flow. And I don't know if you can see it or not. So you need to make sure that that's nice and free, and the needle moves up and down. And you can do that on both sides. That's what controls the gas going into the float chamber, and the floats turn it on and off as required. And I have to stop this video because I have an incoming call. Let's do a little update on the Golden Norton. This bike has incredible workmanship and everything done to it. It's an interesting bike. Look at the rear brake assembly that's installed here. And look at the anti-torque bar going from here all the way down and all the way down to that bolt way down there. That's quite a piece of art. Just matches this. This replaced the Z plates here. It's incredible, the work that was done on this. Let's see, I checked the DOT codes. This is your tire code, and it's 29 of 6, which is the 29th week of 1996. So these are dated out. The client knows that. We talked about it already. And this one is, there it is, 076, which would be the 7th week of 1996. So they're both old and they're cracked, so I expect we're going to replace these tires. The bike does not have a battery. It has a no battery ignition system and a kill switch. And we have good spark when we kicked it over. So I cleaned the float bowls yesterday and checked the pilot jets and cleaned them. Dumped out the oil tank, dumped out the sump. And actually dumped out the sump. Didn't need to dump this because all the oil had gone down into the sump. So we got all the oil out of the sump. And all we have to do is put some oil into it now and some gasoline, of which I purchased some yesterday. And I think it's ready to start. I think we'll get Kevin over here in a couple days and we'll do some kicking on it. In the meantime, client's interested possibly in putting an Alton starter on it, which would be cool. And there is no battery, but there's lots of room up here. up underneath the seat. And if I can find somebody who can manufacture a plate support bracket that would go across either from the shock bolts or maybe up in here and lift up here and put a battery up in this area. You could put a big enough battery up there to spin the starter. There's room. This is hollow. It's not a compartment, so it's hollow. And I think I can measure it out and find out how much room there is, and then look at some batteries and see what we can do. That way we could add a battery which would turn a starter. So Alton would replace this inner case. Outer case stays the same. This would be replaced, and we could try to get it painted to match, or do what they did on the other side, which was paint the inner case black. And that might be just as good, because both of these inner cases are painted black like the engine cases. It's a very smooth, plasticky feeling paint. So both of those are options. Or just leave it aluminum and polish it. So yea, verily, it is possible to put an electric starter on the bike. It just takes some effort and some machining that I can't do, but I can probably arrange. So that's where we are. I'll probably do a first start the next day or two. Tomorrow we're going to work up at Kevin's shop on the T20. He's got the timing case off, cover off. He's going to put that back on. He's saw how to seal up the transmission to seal the leak. And we're going to see if we can put it back together, get the timing reset, and restart the bike and call her good. So we'll do that tomorrow morning. So that's the update on the Gold Norton.